Okay guys, here we are again at the end of the Cold War, and today we'll be looking at the failure of the Soviet system. We are going to split it into two. The first thing there are 4 points altogether: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 I like to think of as internal. That means to do with the communist system, and 3 and 4 we are looking at regional. Okay, I will explain. So the first system flaw we have is the command economy. It means the entire system of how the economy of the Soviet Union is driven by the central government, as well as the low quality of life that this inevitably results in. After that, we need to look at this. What else? The USSR does not exist just as a single country. They are all the satellite states as well. So we need to talk about the economic drain of the Cold War. Okay, and there are also problems of resistance. Okay, and you can see regional within the communist bloc. So not just within the USSR itself, but within the communist bloc. That means the satellite states, so on and so forth. So looking at these 4 issues, we can see that the Soviet system has problems in its very nature, that is to say, in the construction of the system, but also from the other factors, the global factors. That means the Cold War, we're talking about how the USA's actions affected within the communist bloc. Okay, so shall we say internal and external. Okay. So without further ado, let's go. Okay. So the first thing we want to look at is the state-driven, centrally controlled system. Okay. So really what the point we're trying to make is that there are a lot of problems with it. There is the main issue is economic inefficiency. Okay. As well as poor planning. So poor planning, inefficiency, and corruption. It works like this. What is economic inefficiency? It's like playing a computer game, right? If I give you X amount of resources, have you ever played things like, what's that game? Overcooked, right? Overcooked. If I give you X amount of resources, if I give you 3 rice, 3 sashimi, and 3 seaweed. So what's the most efficient way to serve this? The most cost efficient way, if I just serve them individually, is not so much. So I can sell them as 9 different ingredients, right? But nobody's going to buy seaweed or all these kind of things separately. Maybe they'll buy it for 50 cents. Okay, but if I can serve 3 pieces of sushi, then I can sell each piece for $3, and I'm going to make much more money, even though I only have 3 pieces of sushi. So, but what I'm trying to show you is that by using my resources in the most efficient manner, then I can maximize my economic growth. However, the Soviet Union did not do this. Why? Because they are not driven by profit. Okay, basically the state decides what is good for them. Okay, so there are all these problems that they face: economic inefficiency as well as corruption. Okay, why is that so? The Soviet system cannot provide the basic things: welfare, wages, a decent quality of life. How do we know this? All you need to do is to look at chapter 2.2. You can see the Great Famine. Okay, and in general, the quality of life there is not as high as that of the First World. Okay, so let's think about it now. System failure. Okay, not enough wages, quality of life, people unhappy. What do they blame? When people are unhappy, they want to blame something, right? They blame system. And when they blame the system, what happens? They lose faith in the system. And that is exactly what is going on here. It is eroded the people's trust in communism, okay, and fueled dissent. What is dissent? Dissent means disagreement, okay. They don't like the communist government anymore, all right, so their system failed. And secondly, we also talk about the low quality of life. What are the other reasons that contribute to the low quality of life? Now, remember previously we had talked about the spending of the USSR, right? And because they of the military pressure from the West, that is to say, the arms race, the USSR produces, it doesn't produce consumer goods. Consumer goods, things like radios, okay, radio lah, luxury foods lah, so on and so forth. Things which make people happy lah. You buy already, then you consume them lah, you eat them up, okay, or you use them, okay. Generally, the more consumer goods you have, the higher your standard of living it is, okay. And because they do not produce as much consumer goods, their quality of living is obviously lower. Okay, and this is horrible, right? Appalling means terrible, fear-inducing, right? Shock, right? I'm like, oh my goodness, you mean in the West they have McDonald's? McDonald's did not go to the USSR until like the 1990s, 1991 if I'm not wrong. Okay, no, 1992. Okay, so again, the public will not believe in communism. So now, let's think about it. In the Soviet Union, already within the USSR, the economy is not good. Things are not looking well. However, they cannot just try to fix themselves. They need to bear the economic burden of the entire Warsaw Pact. Okay. So remember, we had the Marshall Plan, right, and the Truman Doctrine. That was countered with Comecon and Cominform, right? Okay, but they also have to bear the burden of the Warsaw Pact. That means they need to go and support them financially as well, lah. Okay, and if I don't have enough to support myself, how am I going to support the others? But if I don't support the others, then they will not support me. I will lose control of my system. So basically, what I'm trying to show here is that there's a continual drain. Okay, Warsaw Pact lah, proxy wars lah. It takes money to fight war. Okay, and so what all this does is that it exacerbates. Exacerbate means to accelerate, to increase. The best way to say is make it worse. Okay, it will worsen, greatly worsen. So the concerns of the Warsaw Pact as well as proxy wars would force a greater economic burden. Okay, so Warsaw Pact plus proxy war equals to greater economic burden. And finally, within the communist bloc also there is problems. Okay, burgeoning means increasing. Okay, now a system does not just stay like that. You know, we always make the jokes about the gulag. You know why or not? Because we really keep sending people there. And why do they send people there? Because people are resisting. Okay, look at this point here: Hungarian Revolution, Prague Spring, Brezhnev Doctrine. Go and look at examples. These are all examples of what Soviet rule is like. Okay, if I don't like the Soviets, then I say something about it, then they kill me. Okay, that's not a very sustainable way to run a country, is it? Okay, and that is why over time what will it do? Erodes the political legitimacy. It chips away at it. This is a term that we have used many times. Okay, I keep using it, and so what I am trying to show you here is that if we go back to all 4 points, when we have all these things, there is an erosion of political legitimacy. And so what is happening is that the Soviet system, the foundations of the Soviet system are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. That is the picture that I'm trying to paint for you. So if you look at the big picture here, point 1 and point 2, we have looked at it over 30-40 years. The Americans are getting stronger, the Soviets are getting weaker. What is going to cause the eventual collapse is point 3, which we'll look at in the next lesson.